Two bros chilling in a podcast 5 feet apart because we love nerd shit. Oh yeah.
It's time for discussions at brunch.
Yeah. What's going on, party people of the United States of America? This is Discussions at Brunch.
It's time for some nerd shit.
Yeah.
We made that intro like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was right before the podcast. I was like, I was just sitting there like, ooh, get ready to have your ass blasted by some nerds. Ooh. So fucking dumb.
I mean, we'd have a lot of content if we just recorded the random shit we do like 30 minutes before the podcast.
That's no shit. It almost makes it feel like I never deleted everything that we've done beforehand.
You know, starting fresh.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels like we have nothing to compare to. You know, this is going to be our magnum opus moving forward. This is the bar. Pretty low bar.
That's okay. That's what we like. Makes it easy achievable goals.
Yeah. Today's gonna be a little weird, guys. We're still gonna stream at 7 p.m. During our regular thing, but we're actually gonna be doing an earlier gaming stream because Nolan in the chat was such a nice fella. Also, thank you for resubscribing. Number one.
Yeah, that's always awesome.
But Nolan was a super nice fella and decided to buy us a game that he's been wanting to play with some folks. And we were, we like to play with Nolan. He's our boy. He's our baby. And so at 2 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to come back. That's a 2-hour break for our podcast. We're going to come back and we're going to play Deep Rock Galactic. It's a first-person co-op shooter. And you play as space dwarves and you go mining. I don't think that there's anything else that you could quite possibly ask for in a video game.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it last night, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's a pretty fun game.
Yeah, I decided to play a little bit today before the podcast, and I was like, I'm just going to play on the hardest difficulty. I was dumb. It was idiotic for me to do.
Yeah, no upgrades, solo. Yeah, that's
I do what
not
I
easy.
want. I do what I want. And the fucking swarms on that game get crazy. Rock and stone, brother. Brr. Oh, man. But, just a heads up for everybody. I did accidentally, if you weren't here Tuesday with me giving me the explanation, I accidentally deleted all of our VODs. What had happened was I had selected 4 streams from Monday, Wednesday. I streamed on an off day, and the stream was acting like a piece of crap.
It was Tuesday.
Yeah. So Tuesday, and I tried to delete the 4 bad videos, and so I highlighted all of them, and then I select the option that says delete all, and it turns out delete all just deletes everything, and once they're gone, they are gone. So, big sad, but that's only 4 podcasts that we don't have on the YouTube. Not a big deal. And for everyone who was here and that got to see it, that's like a limited exclusive thing for you now. So it's like an NFT, except you don't get it ever. You just have the memory.
You don't own it. It's just in your brain.
That's right. It will live in your head rent-free, maybe. Dylan, what are we talking about today?
We are going to be talking about webcomics. Looks like from reading through all the ones we have posted, mostly Korean manhwas, I think is how that's pronounced. It's basically just Korean version of comics. And I think most of these are probably available on Webtoons, if I had to guess.
Yeah, 2 of mine at least are. I don't know if the one that me and you have both read is English, dude. Hey, Growl, thanks for lurking. Solo leveling is in fact on the list today. It's a
Mm,
damn good webcomic.
it is pretty good.
So I've got three. Dylan, you have three. You just
Yep.
want to go one for one? I read one, you read one?
Sure.
Sweetness. I'll go ahead and start off. Webcomics, if you guys are unfamiliar with it, it's exactly as it sounds. They are comics that you read on the web. Specifically, I use Webtoons. I think that's a really good app to read comics
Hmm.
on. But they're not always available like that. Like One Punch Man, for example, is a great webcomic before it became a manga and a hit anime. And it's still a webcomic, I do believe.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, sometimes they have their own website. Sometimes they go through someone else, so no big deal. But most of the time, I use Webtoons. And I like it because it's a cool way to support artists and authors who don't really have a signing anywhere. They don't have a deal with anyone.
Yeah,
And
it's good to note that a lot of these web comics are usually written and illustrated by one person, maybe two.
mhm,
So it's a very small group of people making these like weekly, usually updates to these comics. So it's pretty impressive.
you hope it's weekly.
Usually.
Sometimes. I like webcomics. They're a good way to see kind of the magic before they become big. Like sometimes a lot of these webcomics get signed on, they become animes, they become mangas, movie deals, shit like that. And it's got like, it's a good place to see like the genres and the ideas that aren't really talked about all that often get explored. So to me, that's just the biggest plus of all is that you get to see the stuff that hasn't been done yet. Moving right along, though, probably one of my favorite webcomics right now is a webcomic called Teenage Mercenary. It's by a author goes by the name YC, and it's illustrated by Rakion. Um, Pretty cool webcomic in my opinion. I've been reading it for a while now. I think it's been out for a year and a half, maybe going on two. And what it's about, to give you the quick synopsis here, at age 8, Engine Yu lost his parents in a plane crash and became stranded in a foreign land, and he was forced to become a child mercenary in order to stay alive. He returns home 10 years later to be reunited with his family in Korea, where food and shelter are plenty and everything seems peaceful. But Engine will soon learn that life as a teenager is a whole other feat of survival. With only 1 year of high school left, Ijin must master new tactics to maneuver his way around the schoolhouse battleground. And then, can he survive a year of high school, or rather, will the school be able to survive without him? Number one, the art on this web comic is fantastic. They do a great job of illustrating the calm points and the action packed points. In fact, that's probably one of my favorite bits about the webcomic is the scenes that they're fighting. It is impactful. Even if you're just like looking at a picture, it is super heavy. Um, and it's got these nice themes of like the rediscovery of family. Like you really feel for the main character. But there's also this cool theme of that danger is always lurking around because of his past. And he kind of goes through the story trying to rediscover what it's like to be a normal person. And he's constantly having to dip back into his history to protect his family, himself, and his friends from threats that are new and threats that are kind of known. So, if I had to give it a score, 8 out of 10, I'd probably give it a 9. It's a pretty damn good um, webtoon.
Hmm. Sounds good.
I like it a lot.
Sounds pretty interesting.
I like it a lot. It's like I like the webtoons, webcomics that are like, hey, this character's overpowered, and it's like done right. It's not just like One
Hmm.
Punch Man is the extreme where it's like he's so powerful it's funny, and this is like this guy is still mortal. He can still be hurt. He's just got a lot of training and specializations, and it's kind of cool to think about a high school student who's a special ops guy practically. It's like, oh man, nobody would expect that.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah.
since you talked about your favorite first, I will also talk about my favorite. I've been I've been reading this webcomic since it started back in like 2016, I believe. So it's been around for a while. This comic is called Unordinary. It's written and illustrated by someone who goes by the pen name Uru-chan, and she's been updating this webcomic like once a week for years, and it's insane. But with very little breaks, which is pretty cool. So the premise of this is what it has written on Webtoons. Nobody paid much attention to John, just a normal teenager at high school where the social elite happened to possess unthinkable powers and abilities. But John's got a secret past that threatens to bring down the school's whole social order and much more. Fulfilling his destiny won't be easy, though, because there are battles, frenemies, and deadly conspiracies around every corner. So the story centers around the main character. He's a teenager in high school named John Doe,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and it's a prestigious high school where like all the social elite uh, gather, where they all go to, and everyone's kind of wondering how John ended up there, because at the start of the story, John kind of presents himself as a cripple, which is someone who has no powers.
Yeah.
And only people with powers can go to this school. So everyone's like, how did he get here? Why is he here? And he becomes best friends with one of the most powerful people in the school. Her name is Serafina, and she has really cool like time abilities and stuff. She can like manipulate time and stuff.
Yeah.
And they hang out, and it's the whole like world is based around how basically where you're placed in society is how powerful your abilities are that you were born with. So
Mm-hmm.
there's low tiers who usually live in poor neighborhoods, and the powerless who also live in poor neighborhoods usually, and then mid tiers, which are just kind of normal people, and then the high tiers, which usually are like the business owners and people who kind of just rule society. And as you go through the story, you discover that John's dad is also a cripple, someone who's completely powerless, and he wrote this book called Unordinary. And this book is was made illegal by the authorities because it tells the story of a society where no one has any powers but one person, and that one person saves everyone and is like super your typical hero, you know.
Yeah.
And and this inspires a lot of high tiers to become vigilantes, which go around and helping the low tier areas with crime and stuff like that. And I don't want to go too deep into spoiler territory, but one of the big characters, their older brother was a vigilante who gets killed, and then there's like a whole conspiracy around that, and like involving like the government and other agencies that are working together to try and use the low tiers, the poor people, as like test subjects for these new ability enhancers and other things like that. And you also discover that Unordinary was actually written about John. His dad wrote the book about him, because you learn about the end of season one, I think, of the manhwa, that John is actually extremely powerful, and he was just hiding his abilities because of some like horrible trauma he went through in middle school.
Hmm.
And it's yeah, it's pretty sad, and he goes through some pretty tough stuff. And the current arc right now, he's learned a lot and built a lot as a character, which is really cool to see. And he's come to accept his powers,
Hmm.
and is using it to help his friends for the first time. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of to just make a parallel, I guess, with it. It kind of sounds like the new Mashal anime, Muscle Magic, where the dude is born without any magic, and his grandpa's trying to protect him, and they found him out that he doesn't have magic, and they're like, let's make a deal. If you become a divine visionary, which is like the people who make laws, he's like, I'll spare your grandpa. So the dude just uses his muscles to pretend that he has magic, sort of scenario. It's kind of a gag anime, but it's to me it's pretty funny. And people are, their social status is determined by about how powerful in magic they are. So yeah, I those are always kind of cool to see, like, different observations on society and how they'd be structured in different timelines, sort of scenario.
Yep, yep. And John's ability is like super cool too. The reason he actually lived most of his early childhood as a cripple because they didn't know he had this ability until he was older. But I don't want to go too deep into it because it's kind of huge spoilers for super recent stuff. But his ability is to copy other people's abilities and enhance them. So he can sense the aura of other people, of their ability, and then I think specifically his ability is called aura manipulation.
Huh.
So he basically just steals their abilities. If they use their ability around him, he can steal their ability and use it. And he can also use more than one ability at the same time.
So he's just he's just a Naruto character with the Rasengan.
Yeah, he's pretty cool ability, and like all of his moves are like black with a yellow outline on them and stuff. So like this one character shoots like red beams, and when he steals his ability, he shoots black beams and stuff. It's very cool. It's very when we discover his ability, it's really cool, and he is very strong.
Yeah, he's just Kakashi.
Yeah, he's basically like, I can do what you do, but better.
Yeah, it's like
So,
that's a cool move that I can do now. What? Moving right along, man, I wish it wasn't like this, but this next one that I have on my list, it's another like kind of student overpowered kind of deal. It's called The Lone Necromancer by JJJ and adapted by Kim Kyung-yul and art done by Kim Dong-jun. And its synopsis is Song-woo is a former Special Forces soldier who has returned to college after completing his national service. His ordinary life as a student is shattered during class one day when he and his fellow students are faced with a mysterious prompt asking them to select a role. Song-woo chooses the Necromancer, a rare ability that grants him the power to control the undead. With the campus and outside world seemingly on the brink of collapse, Song-woo must use his newfound powers to battle fearsome monsters and help save his fellow students. But will they make it out alive? I'm coming in clutch. I'm trying. Dude, this webcomic, I really enjoy it because it's like a reverse isekai, right? Where instead of like you're traveling to a different world and becoming the hero, the different world's coming to you and making you a hero. And this, no, number one, I like the ability to like conjure shit. Like necromancer stuff is like super cool to me. I like that idea of like bringing the dead back to life. This is interesting though because like it's like a video game has taken over the world almost. Like they're trying to escape the college campus and the social factions that are like the cliques that are already established in the college are like start grouping up and whatnot, and you get like this morality of like people have powers now and they're bullying practically the people who got weaker roles into like following them and giving them food and supplies and shit like that. And then like you've got our hero here who is really just fed up with everybody. He doesn't care. He really just cares about his own survival. And he's like, if you follow me, you follow me. If you don't, you don't. I'm gonna get out of here alive. And ends up like putting people in their place and shit. It's really fucking awesome. I'm not too deep into it. In fact, I need to catch up a bit. I think it's 75 chapters in now. And last one I read it was 30 maybe. So I have a little bit to read. but it's cool. You see him like leveling up his powers and whatnot. You get attached to like one of the creatures that he summons, and like that said creature like gets pretty OP, and he gets newfound abilities for like bringing certain like new species into his undead army. It's fucking awesome. Once again, another power hype thing where he's just like he accidentally picked a broken roll, and yeah, yeah, summoning's fucking dope. And I don't know, I don't have much else to say. It's a pretty cool web comic. People should read it if you like that type of thing.
Yep, it is. It's pretty good. I think I've read part of it. So I've seen some images of the resurrected characters, and like he resurrects some like really cool looking stuff, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
really cool. The
yeah.
art's really good.
The art on all of these, I mean, obviously sometimes like the artist will go like for like a chibi effect, just to, like to cute it down, or
Hmm.
that art is like not their main thing, but they do enough to just get the point across. But Teenage Mercenary and The Lone Necromancer are pretty damn good about getting some awesome art in there.
Hmm. Okay, so the next one I have listed here is one that I'm sure most people are familiar with. It was extremely popular a few years ago, called Tower of God
Oh yeah.
by SIU. I don't know if we know his actual name, but he writes the story and he illustrates it. Um, and the little blurb they have on Webcomics or Webtoons, sorry, about the
Plot.
manhwa is what do you desire? Money and wealth, honor and pride, authority and power, revenge, or something that transcends them all? What you desire, it's here. So that kind of illustrates the reason why people climb this tower.
Mm-hmm.
The whole premise of the this world is that everything's centered around this giant tower, which kind of acts as everyone's kind of like a planet, I guess.
Yeah.
And and as you go up in the tower, you reach higher, more powerful people, more influential people in society, and they're all ruled by this group of people who were the first people who discovered the tower. And Bomb, the 25th Bomb, our main character, he uh, he was born outside of the tower. He was born underneath the tower in complete darkness. And the only person he knew was this girl named Rachel. And they kind of form this relationship. They're best friends, basically. And when it comes time for Rachel to go to the tower, or at least that's what it seems like at the time, they end up both going to the tower together. Bomb comes a bit later. Rachel gets there earlier, and he doesn't meet up with her until after going through some really dumb tests.
Yeah.
And Bomb is like this super innocent, naive character. He lived in darkness all his life, so he has very little experience with anything outside of his cave. So he's very naive, and it kind of keeps that a little bit throughout the entire story so far. And as you get through the story, you discover that Bomb was the one who was chosen to go to the tower, not Rachel. Rachel hitched a ride on Bomb's like invitation to the tower. So she's actually the one who's not supposed to be there. And then you find out that she's a huge piece of shit. And this, if you've read even if you've seen the anime, you probably know that she's a horrible person, and she just gets worse and worse as time goes on. She does the worst things.
Yeah.
Everyone hates her.
Yeah, the
And
anime gets up right to the point where it shows that she truly is a piece of shit.
yeah, and it's really cool because some of the coolest shit happens after the anime, after season 1 and the start of season 2. Bomb starts to he receives training and he starts to discover that holy shit, I am extremely overpowered.
Yeah, yeah.
And and it's super cool the kind of fights he does and stuff like that because it's insane the stuff, and he always does it for someone else. He doesn't usually do it for himself ever.
Yeah.
He's like always trying to save his friends, or he's always trying to save his like his father figure, his teacher. It's pretty good. It's a very good, well written story. SIU has been through some rough stuff while writing this story because like he's doing this solo, and holy crap, are the chapters long. Like these chapters that he writes every week are the longest chapters of any webcomic I've ever read. So you'll sit down and read for like 10-20 minutes every chapter, which is really cool. And yeah, there's been a ton of hiatuses. I mean, I think the last hiatus that SIU had, there was no updates on the webcomic for like a year, which was pretty hard to wait for. It was because it was right in the middle of a huge fight and stuff.
Yeah. That's
But
always like the worst.
hmm. But yeah, currently he's back up, and it's being updated every week again, and it's pretty good. The current part is pretty interesting. It's very he's interacting with a lot of like the most powerful people in the tower and stuff. It's pretty cool. And so I'm going to go back to kind of like how the tower works a little bit. So the tower has two groups of people. They're called regulars and irregulars. Irregulars are people who get invited to the tower who were born outside of the tower. So people who are like particularly special, particularly powerful, who get invited to come to the tower and climb it. And these people are always extremely powerful. Bomb is one of them. And all of the leaders, all of the huge leaders of the tower are all irregulars. They were all brought from outside of the tower.
Mm.
And as you discover, there are species of people who were just born and evolved on the tower, but most of like the human-ish characters are descendants of the original people who go to the tower. And you might think, huh, that's crazy how this dude is like the great 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 grandfather of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still alive. And that's because people who get higher up in the tower are actually immortal. So they gain immortality as part of like the benefits of climbing the tower and stuff.
Yeah, they're not
And
just immortalized like with a statue. They just get immortalized.
yeah, they are basically immortal, and it's very cool. The story is very cool. Each of the original leaders all have their own specialties, like kind of like different classes in a game of like D&D or something.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool as you learn about them and stuff.
I like Tower of God, just because like you get to experience like you said, the main character is super naive, and it's really nice to see someone who's not so focused on like, I'm gonna be the best, I'm gonna be the most powerful. The dude's main goal is to just reunite with his friend, and his friend's just like, no, I just used you practically to get where I am. And it's constantly just this back and forth. You're like, wow, I hate this.
Yeah, but he does get new friends who are much nicer to him.
Oh yeah, I
he
absolutely
gets what
love this party.
He deserves all the love in the world because he is a innocent little cinnamon roll who needs to be protected.
He's a gem. He's a gem. My favorite person in his party is the lizard warrior.
Yeah,
that guy is literally my favorite because he
is great.
He's so powerful that he also is naive in like the opposite sense. Like he's like, I'm gonna challenge everybody, almost like Goku, except nice, like way nicer. Like he's unknowingly nice.
Yeah, yeah, he's pretty hilarious. I love that character.
And I think the manga does an okay job adapting. Or sorry, not the manga, but the anime does an okay job adapting the story. But there are some changes that I'm like, you didn't have to change that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. I think the art is pretty good on both the webtoon and
Yeah,
the anime. Obviously, the
yeah,
anime is done by a studio, but
and it's very cool that as the comic builds up and as it gets longer, I think they're on like season 3, episode like 300 something or something like that,
hmm,
some insane number. Actually, I think it's even higher than that. Uh, season 3, episode 142, and each season was like 300 episodes, so it's an insane amount.
yeah,
And as the webcomic goes on, the art gets better because SIU is kind of just learning. Season 1, it's good. It gets a lot better in season 2, and then especially in season 3. And it's really cool to see that.
yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to read more. All right. This is the big one. This when this first came out, I was reading it nonstop. I was at the edge of my seat every Wednesday for this webtoon to come out, and that's Solo Leveling, or also known as Only I Level Up, by Chugong, an art done by Redice Studio. Um, the person who was doing the art for this actually passed away in 2022.
Mhm.
So rest in peace to Dudu, I think is what his name was.
I
Du.
I actually read this comic that year because of that, because I learned
Really?
about that, and I was like, I should read this because it seems super good, and yeah, it is very good.
Yeah, it's a damn good webtoon. Talk about like seeing somebody start from nothing and then just get goated in the sauce.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, the synopsis is: in a world where hunters, human warriors who possess supernatural abilities, must battle deadly monsters to protect mankind from certain annihilation, a notoriously weak hunter named Song Jin-woo finds himself in a seemingly endless struggle for survival. One day, after narrowly surviving an overwhelmingly powerful double dungeon that nearly wipes out his entire party, a mysterious program called the System chooses him as its sole player and, in turn, gives him the extreme ability to level up in strength and turn anyone he kills into a loyal minion called a Shadow. Jinwoo then sets out on a journey as he fights against all kinds of enemies, both man and monster, to discover the secrets of the dungeons and the true source of his main powers. Talk about video game come to
Hmm.
reality.
Yeah.
It's super weird because like once again, I love reverse isekai. I like isekai in general, but like just the idea of where like the trouble comes to your planet, that shit I
Hmm.
really like because like modern day superpowers is just dope. But yeah, this guy, I think he's like a rank F, rank D hunter. They do it by
Yeah.
ranks. There's a guild, and he
Yeah.
is quite literally useless. Normally, he's just like carrying supplies and shit like that. And he goes like to this dungeon, and they discover it's a double dungeon. And he uses his brain. He goes, "I know how to solve this. This is a puzzle, not particularly a dungeon." And nobody believes him. A lot of shit goes down, and then they're like, "We're gonna spare you for whatever reason." And then this dude kind of goes on that episode of South Park where they're just on like that main island, and he just like starts killing a bunch of small shit to level up really quick and become
Hmm.
like OP. And then the story, after a while, it starts becoming like more story driven, about like why this shit's happening to the world rather than just focusing on him solely leveling up. And this follows like the main tropes that I really like. The ability to summon shit. Like the dude is literally known as the Shadow Monarch. You find that later on. It's not a huge jump. It's not a huge spoiler. But yeah, he ends up getting that title, and people from all around the world are like, I want to fight this guy. He can't be that strong. And then he just straight up whoops people left and right. And the type of summons this guy gets is
Oh yeah.
insane, dude. Absolutely insane.
The knight dude that he gets
Yeah,
after
the
going to that
Crimson
one
Knight.
dungeon. Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy is so cool looking.
dude, the art, I gotta say, is next level. I mean, they put a lot of effort into this art, and it is crazy. I think it was set to end because the dude passed away. I actually think they started back up again. The original writer wanted to continue the story, and so I think they are. I could be wrong on that, but when I was doing my research today, my quick research just to get a refresher, I think there is one or two new episodes out now.
Hmm.
The cool thing
I didn't
about
know that.
Solo Leveling is that it's getting ready to have an anime adaptation, and I am hype. I am so fucking hyped for an anime adaptation. It's also getting a fucking video game. It's called Solo Leveling Arise, available on PC and mobile. I haven't seen much about it, and all this stuff is like, what is they're planning on it for first quarter, second quarter of 2024. So I'm ecstatic. I absolutely love this webtoon. I love the characters. The action is awesome. Um, and I put here in the notes, it's like watching the origins of One Punch Man. Like One Punch Man is stupid powerful, but like we just get like one episode of like him exercising and that's it. And like for this is like literally watching the climb, and I love watching the climb. It's half the reason why I like Tower of God so much is you get to watch the
Hmm.
climb of Bam or Bomb
Yeah.
or however you want to pronounce it.
However, they say bomb in the anime, so that's
Yeah.
kind of just how I pronounce it. But
Um, and just to you know, Tower of God, solo leveling. I'm gonna be honest. I like this idea of like you fight stronger and stronger monsters as you go on. It's half the reason why I really like Sword Art Online, where they have the
mm,
Tower of Elysium, which was kind of the same thing as the Tower of God. And then there's like another webtoon called King of High School, which is kind of the same idea.
God of High School.
God of High School, yeah. I like God of High School too.
It's pretty good.
It's kind of got the same premise almost as Tower of God, but a little bit more modernized and changed. Where this dude joins this fighting competition and he's like trying to unlock his potential, and turns out he's got some secret superpower, yada yada yada. And you just it's just like a fighting tournament, and they're just trying to find out who's the strongest, so on and so forth. But yeah, solo leveling coming out with an anime, coming out with a video game, 2024.
So, speaking of reverse isekais, where the trouble comes to the real world, this next one that I've been reading is the same. It's pretty similar in concept. It's called The Advanced Player of the Tutorial Tower. Kind of a long title. It's written by Bangseok Gimsi, or I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and illustrated by Top. Um, and the synopsis is: after being trapped for 12 years in a tower full of regenerating monsters, Hyunwoo Kim is more powerful than just about any human or monster on Earth. Now that he's free, he's determined to find out who was behind his imprisonment, even if that means he has to kill hordes of monsters, and inadvertently save the world along the way. This webcomic, so basically the premise of the world is that these towers ended up popping up all over Earth, like
Mm-hmm.
modern day Earth,
Yeah.
and random groups of people are selected to go into this tower. And when they come out with powers. Some of them are like mages, powerful mages. Some of them are powerful swordsmen, stuff like that. And Hyunwoo, the main character, he was a part of the first group that went into this tutorial tower, and he ended up getting stuck in this tower. At the end, when they got ready to leave, he just got teleported back to the beginning of the tower, and he's
Damn.
stuck here running through the tower for 12 years straight. And along the way, he kind of helps people get through it. There's two girls that he helps through this that end up calling him their teacher, because he kind of taught them how to fight and stuff while he was guiding them through the tower. And by the end of this 12 years, he is pissed. He is done with this shit. So when he gets out, he immediately tries his damnedest to try and find out who stuck him in this tower. And as he's like, I think it's kind of hard to remember, but I think at the start he gets teleported to this place called the System Room, where he's basically given his roles, like what he's meant to do, why he was trapped in this tutorial tower. He's meant to complete these kind of quest things to help keep Earth from blowing up, basically. And he goes through a bunch of dungeons, and he kind of just one-shots every enemy he sees because he's extremely powerful. There's a very funny moment, like early on, he's like just significantly more powerful than everyone else. So he just one-shots people with his Adidas slides. And while every single other like big hunter, the hunters are what they call the people who have the powers from the towers and stuff. And everyone else has like this fantasy gear on and stuff like that, and this special armor and weapons. And Keanu's over here in a tracksuit and beating people up with a sandal. So it's pretty funny. And at the start, he's just like super strong when it comes to like strength and stamina. Like he is above any other person. And eventually he learns how to use magic and stuff like that. And he becomes like insanely powerful, even more so than he already is. And near the beginning, there are these things called rifts, I think is what they're called, where giant cracks open up in the planet and hordes of monsters flood out. And this is usually seen as kind of like an apocalyptic event where all the hunters in the world have to rush to this point to try and protect the Earth.
Yeah.
And Keanu's over here just one-shotting every single monster, and then just immediately goes to the boss and slaps him in the face with a sandal and kills him instantly. And as this goes on, Keanu discovers that he is what is called a guardian. The reason why he is trapped in the tower is to protect Earth, because the world is set in a bunch of layers, and each layer is like a different version of Earth. And Earth, the modern day normal Earth, is like the 9th layer, I think, or something like that. And these monsters that keep popping up are people who go to these layers, this tower, like what they see as the tower and what we see as the Earth. They go through here and kind of go up through these layers, and if they reach the top, they get some special reward. And Keanu's job is to prevent them from destroying Earth, and that's kind of the basic story of the beginning. Eventually, he does end up like fighting these literal gods and stuff like that. It's insane, but it's pretty cool. It's a very cool like power fantasy. The main character is super OP from the start, and he just gets even more powerful as he fights more powerful enemies. And you discover a lot about the world is very interesting. Like as Keanu like digs deeper into like the system and like what his world is, and it's kind of like turned upside down when he discovers that Earth is just one plane of existence, and in like what's seen as kind of just a challenge for people outside of Earth.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see, and he still has yet to beat the person's ass who stuck him in that tutorial tower, but he knows who did it at this point in the story. He just hasn't got to beat his ass yet, so it's pretty good. And whenever he does like interviews for like TV and stuff, he is like the most nonchalant. He doesn't dress up at all. He's still in his tracksuit on a stage and on like with interviewers and stuff, and they're asking him like, "Oh, why did you do this?" He's like, "Felt like it," and then he leaves. It is so great. It is funny, and he like never really protects Earth because he means to. He doesn't. That's not his intention. He just wants to find the person who stuck him in this tower and beat their ass. And the only way to do that is to protect Earth. So that's like kind of why he does it. It's funny. It's pretty good. Very good. I like it. It's still going on. All three of the webcomics I talked about are still ongoing. So they're all very good.
Nice. Nolan just gave us a recommendation, a leveling with the gods. The summary for that is he became stronger, faster than everyone else, but he lost. In the end, there was only despair for Kim Yu-won. In his last moments, he was given another chance. Through the sacrifice of his comrade, his fate had not been sealed yet. Returning back to the past, he attempts to climb the tower again with his unmatched talent to fight the ancient evils that threaten to destroy the tower. And there's a bigger overview here, but apparently it's just like gods fighting, with this tower concept, which is pretty dope. The art looks pretty good on it. I haven't read any of this, just reading the synopsis, but that looks like it's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. It's got kind of a similar synopsis to another webtoon that I'm reading called Doombreaker by Deep Blue. And the synopsis for that one is Zephyr is the last human fighting evil in a world abandoned by the gods when he is killed in battle by Tartarus, the god of destruction. All hope for humanity seems lost, but Zephyr's fate is not sealed. The gods who find his battles entertaining have gifted him a second chance at life. As he is sent 10 years into the past, back to when he is a slave instead of the most powerful human alive. Can Zephyr get revenge against Tartarus and save the woman he loves, or is he doomed to repeat the past? That one's on hiatus right now. But Doombreaker, practically, he goes back in time. He has none of his abilities, but he knows how everything's going to play out. He's in the same timeline. So he's practically just like trying to find ways to re-increase like his strength back to where it was and to get even more powerful. And it gets kind of crazy, and what he does, and it's just insane all around. It's truly awesome to read. The art on it's also really good. There's not much else to say. Doombreaker by Deep Blue. Deep Blue. Yeah. There's a couple of other webcomics that I read, but they're like boy love webcomics, like cutesy shit. You know, I'm gay like that. What can I say? I love reading boy love comics. But yeah.
Yeah, there's also a couple more I'm reading as well. Well, I'm not currently reading because they're on hiatus. But one of the ones that's pretty good, I guess, if we still have a little bit of time,
We do.
is called Jungle Juice, is what it's called. It's written by Hyung Yoon and illustrated by Juder. The summary is Suchan Jang is an extraordinary college student at the top of the social food chain. But underneath the perfect facade, he hides a pair of insect wings that suddenly grew when he used a mysterious bug spray called Jungle Juice. Suchan's life crumbles when he bears his wings to the world to save someone's life. When all hope seems lost, Suchan stumbles upon a hidden world of insect humans where everyone is accepted for what they are. But the law of the jungle governs this secret society, and all must fend for themselves in order to survive. So this is kind of like is kind of a little bit of a superhero comic, I think, a bit.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, Suchan, he after high school, he decided to like, I'm going to be the top of the social ladder and stuff. So he ended up changing his hairstyle and like dressing up and stuff, and then he became like super popular in college. And he used this bug spray called Jungle Juice, which when you kill an insect with it, your DNA gets fused with whatever insect you kill, and then you just parts of you become like that insect. And there's some wild insect people that you end up seeing. There's like this huge centipede man and stuff like that. It's nuts. And this girl that Suchan is dating, he she ends up like or an insect man who's a mantis. He has big mantis claws. Can sense that Suchan is a bug man, and he ends up trying to eat him. And in the middle of this, he uses Suchan's girlfriend as a decoy, and he like throws her out of a window or something. And Suchan bares his wings to save her from falling to her death. And after that, everyone sees him as a freak and just hates him. Even the girl he saved hates him. And then he's like, yeah, everything he built for college, all his social progress and stuff like that is just burned away. He has become the person everyone avoids now. And then he ends up finding out about this insect college where all these other people who've been infected by the jungle juice stuff all go to this school, and they compete to try and gain this modified version of jungle juice called Cinderella that basically just reverses the effects of jungle juice, so people can go back to being normal people. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's a very good story. The art is super beautiful. It's very well done, and there's a lot of like romance and stuff if you like that. And it's pretty good.
I do like romance. Just goes to show that don't mess with jungle juice, man. Like you feel really good when you start messing with jungle juice, but then everyone just starts to hate you.
Yeah, I thought it was funny when I saw that was what they called the
well, this is practically our time. Ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate you watching the podcast today. We hope you enjoyed the funny little intro that we slapped on here. We're going to be rating a guy who goes by the title Who Even Plays. They're playing Deep Rock Galactic, which is what we're going to play at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with our boy Nolan. I enjoy you, Growl. I enjoy you so much. You fucking lovely human, you. So we'll be back at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. When we raid, please use some of our emotes. Stick around for a second or two just to say hi. In like an hour, it's like 2 hours. A little cheese it. Oh. Yeah, we will be back. Give some love. Thanks for watching.
Yep.
Whoops.